Hello, my name is Claudine. Welcome to the Refugee Views. Today I've got someone special from Cornerstone. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Can you tell us more of yourself?
Yes, my name is Melanie Summers. I work with Cornerstone Housing for Women in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, of course. And here we are today at McPhail House, which is a beautiful home that's part of Cornerstone Housing for Women, women who are refugee and new immigrant women.
Oh, that was my question. How are you involved with refugees and newcomers to Canada?
I already jumped in.
Just tell us more about it.
Okay, so Cornerstone has the all-women shelter in Ottawa and emergency shelter for women. Women might find themselves in many different situations that make it so that it's difficult for them to find housing. And refugee women or immigrant women or women are definitely part of those women who might come to our doorstep and need housing. And then we recognized that and opened a house for refugee and new and immigrant women here in Ottawa, and we house 6 women here at McPhail House.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is the government involved in all this McPhail new refugees?
In the respect of fundraising, yes. In funds, I should say, not fundraising. And that's at all 3 levels of government. So the municipal,
The federal? Okay.
yeah, provincial and federal.
Okay.
So we will receive a pocket of funding for that.
All right.
Yeah.
So in your experience, what can you say are the challenges refugees face?
Well, I'll just speak from my limited experience of the women that I work with, but definitely I think one of the challenges is immersing oneself in a new culture. And obviously a new culture has different systems and new systems, and familiarizing oneself with that. And then I think that the women who come, they want to build a new life for themselves here in Canada, and oftentimes I think that the length of time that it takes to navigate these new systems, new language, new culture, and prepare oneself for employment takes longer than people wanted to take, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And so sometimes I think that there might be some frustration and disappointment within that.
Definitely, that's understandable, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is very understandable.
So do you think the government is doing enough to help refugees? If so, how? Or if not, what more can they do?
I think I do feel that in Canada our government is fairly responsive at helping refugees and welcoming new people, but we can always do better. And so I see that we're going to have more people coming to Canada, and our systems are outdated. They need to be refreshed.
Okay.
And just speaking from a perspective of someone who's in housing,
Okay.
providing housing
For newcomers?
Yes, for
Okay.
newcomers, but housing in general
Oh.
in Canada is
Okay.
at a crisis. The government says that it wants to commit itself to finding solutions for this housing crisis, but I don't see it happening as quickly as it needs to happen. And I definitely think that with the housing shortage that we're already experiencing and more people coming, we need to create more housing. And we need to create housing specific to refugee and immigrant people, because they have special needs, and we want to make it the best experience for them possible so that they can go on and succeed here in their new home.
What is your understanding of war, just in general?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say I'm a privileged white woman, and so and then in my lifetime, I've never been in a war, affected by it firsthand. So I'm very fortunate that way. But the experience that I would have with it would be specifically the women who have come to live here, right, at McPhail, who've come from war-torn countries and situations, and shared some of their experiences of that with me, which was very traumatizing. And so I also think that that would be an excellent place in your former question about how the government could do a better job. I think we need to put more value towards, counseling and rehabilitating people who have been through, these traumatic experiences, including war.
Okay. If we were in a perfect world, how can war be prevented? Yeah.
I think that
you can give some suggestions to the government.
To the government? More women leaders.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I truly believe this.
That's a feministic approach, though.
Very feminist. And
why women?
Because I believe that if more women were in a position of leadership, we wouldn't have the same war and all of the global environmental issues, the violence, a lot of the atrocities. I think would probably be minimized, if not completely eliminated, under the leadership of women.
In my opinion, that's too ideal.
I know, it's very idealistic. I honestly think that if women were the leaders, that we would see things very differently, that we would be living in a different situation than we are living in now.
Because women are more sensitive and
also well, sensitive, yes, but I think women see the big picture. I don't think that we concentrate just on money and power. Whereas, unfortunately, and I know that this is a bit of a generalization, but I would say that men are more apt to focus on those things.
Yeah.
And because we care not just for ourselves, but we care for our children, for our families, and for those outside of our scope. Our scope is much bigger, broader.
Your views are very interesting. So are refugees making a difference in Canadian society? If yes, how? If no, where do you see a room of improvement?
Well, I definitely think that refugees are impacting Canada in a very positive way. First and foremost, just bringing in the richness and the diversity of their culture. But they have so much to offer, especially in the running of our country and in the labor force. And I see often that they are willing to contribute in that way. And we couldn't survive as a country, as a society, without refugee and immigrant